Welcome back to the shed. I thought I'd try something this time that doesn't have wheels, and I've never had a freestyle drone before, let alone even flown one. This will be a series where you can follow me on my journey to flying a proper drone. I'm a beginner in this discipline, in the truest sense of the word, so please bear with me while I begin to learn everything, from the basics of flying, to building my very first drone, and hopefully successfully flying it in FPV. In this video, I'm going to bring you along for my first 10-ish hours of learning to fly in liftoff. I'll share what I was going through in my head, and my first impressions, whether or not I'd recommend it to other beginners. First up, I didn't have a suitable controller for this, and after pondering for a while, watching a few videos, reading up online, I started seeing suggestions like the Radio Master Pocket, the DJI, the FlySky controllers even popped up occasionally. I ended up deciding to go with a controller I could grow into, the Radio Master TX16S Mark II. I keep seeing it time and time again. It looks the part, it has a module bay, and with the Express LRIS version, it can even pair via Bluetooth to my laptop, meaning a hassle-free flight sim experience. More on that in a little bit. The controller came with this basic yet nicely produced foam case, which I love for the fact that I can take it with me when I travel for work to give me something to do when I'm bored in the hotel. You can fit some spare batteries and other bits inside too. It also came with a couple of other bits, some stickers, grips, a screen protector, a key ring. I actually hate key rings, but it's still a nice touch, and a cable to connect your controller via USB-C. Also included are some spare bits and bobs to adjust or repair the controller. You can run these controllers either with a 2S LiPo battery or two 18650 lithium batteries. The manual specifies that you must use a 3.7 18650 and not the 3.6 volt ones. No explanation as to why not. Maybe the Radio Master man will come and get you. Here I'm just setting the date and time, messing about with the appearance because why not turn it all an obnoxious green? To activate the Bluetooth connection, first press the system button, then select Express LRIS. Now scroll down to BLE joystick and click. This will activate the Bluetooth. Now go to your Bluetooth settings in your laptop or computer. Here my MacBook showed the controller as Bluetooth device. Click this and it should then pair. Simple as that. Let's load up the sim. I've been putting off learning to fly drones ever since I first found out they existed. Way back when they were known as quadcopters or multi-rotors. I'm not sure if it was because it was an unknown or because I wasn't initially interested. Lately, perhaps thanks to more and more shorts coming up with some hectic FPV footage, I've been convinced, or more importantly convinced myself, that I need to get into multi-rotor flying. The logical place to start, as with the controller, was to find an appropriate sim by watching some videos online and reading more stuff. I went around in circles and came back to the first one I'd found, which was Liftoff. It happened to be on sale at the time for I think $12.99, that's sterling. At time of recording, that works out roughly 16 sweet freedom dollars. Let's take a look at the sim. Initially, it's a good idea to calibrate the controller as it's new out of the box and first time using the simulator. I don't think it'll hurt to do this, but you might not need to. Aside from that, I'm going to set the switch as a reset button. It's easy to access and it's the only sprung toggle on this controller. I might have mentioned I've got no experience with these drones, so I'm going full noob mode. Starting right at the beginning and going through the motions, when learning other things in the past, I've stunted my progress by trying to go off doing my own thing, learning my own way, so I figure it's best to just do what the tutorial says. As you can see, it took me a minute to get a feel for the level of finesse required on the sticks, and my initial line of sight flight was something of a comedy. I quickly realised that I'd be needing that reset switch more than I had originally anticipated. I experimented with different grips on the controller to better get familiar with it. Here I'm just working my way through the challenges, having a couple of goes where I thought necessary. I wasn't brilliant to start with, as so many people on YouTube and the wider internet had assured me. This figure of 8 section was where things got really frustrating, and I'd say a good 7 to 8 of my 10 hours was spent here. Early on I realised this was like a lot of things, fail as many times as possible in a short window to learn what not to do, thus improving overall. Now when I say this was a lot of resets, I do mean it. All I can say to somebody just getting into this too is to stick with it. I found that taking a break here and there helped when I came back, as I'd been focusing too long on trying the same movements and needed to refresh my eyes and my brain. Another thing that helped, I didn't figure this out until about 4 hours in though, is actually studying the stick movements in the demo while they show you how to get around the track. One feature I found to mess with my brain a bit is when they try and get you to do it in level mode before moving to acro. I found level mode to be a bit of a pain, and seeing as I don't really plan on using it when flying for real, it seemed a little pointless and if anything a bit of a pain. Again, I can't stress enough here that for me, copious use of the reset trigger just helped me to get actually manoeuvring around the course, especially if I'd gone way off track. Don't get me wrong, trying to correct myself here and there was also helpful, as after all it's part of the feedback loop required to learn. Now you've probably heard plenty that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, which is mostly true, except that with this I did find that I was slightly more in tune with the controls with a little extra speed, instead of trying to go slowly all the time. Not absolutely screaming along, but some speed was helpful. As I thought I was getting the hang of the things, I moved to the next stage, which included some more sweeping turns, which as the tutorial almost sneered at me would be easier than the figure eights. I'd have no issue learning these now, right? Right? Wrong. At first these seemed so difficult after getting used to the tighter turns, and when I finally got to the bit where you have to circle the marker, it was like I'd forgotten how to do it altogether. As with the rest, I got the hang of it and made a few full circuits, some cleaner than others mind you. I wanted to finish the whole tutorial series in the first 10 hours, so it was time to move on to the last section, the race. There was another learning curve here. More than anything, it was a mental block going through the physical type of gates. I've got a fair bit more time to spend on this, I think. Every time I thought I was getting close, I'd mess up on the same corner over and over, or sometimes hitting the track markers many times in a row, definitely bringing some frustration to the surface. Unfortunately, I spent so much time here practicing the track, I didn't make it to the actual race at the end of the tutorial before the 10 hours was up. All in all, this was completely different to my expectations of what learning to fly a proper drone would be like. Obviously, I've had the mini indoor types of drones that everyone and their dog has had at Christmas for the last 10 years, but flying one of those and then flying one of these is absolutely worlds apart. If you're watching this and have flown real drones before, I'm only preaching to the choir here. Now, providing the simulator physics are anything close to real life, I'd have no real way of comparing at this point. I'd recommend this to other beginners, especially if you're on a budget or generally aren't a wasteful person. This has no doubt saved me tens if not hundreds of pounds in broken parts. I'll likely continue to use this program even after I've built and flown my first real drone. Let me know if you're an experienced drone pilot. Did you learn to fly using a sim, or did you just dive straight into the real world ones? What would you do differently if you could do it all over again? Is there anything you think I could have done differently here? Constructive feedback is always welcomed, as I just want to learn as fast as possible. Thanks as always for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next one.